Hello, how are you? Today I brought you a vegan cheese recipe. I've already made another recipe here on the channel, kind of like mozzarella, but today I wanted to bring a harder cheese, more like a slicing cheese. Because many people who are vegan or who are allergic to milk protein or lactose intolerant ask me for more practical and affordable recipes for everyday use. Cheese substitute recipes, because cheese is part of our daily routine. It goes in a sandwich, in lasagna, on pizza. Sometimes you make a savory pie and want to gratin it, want to put something on top. So that cheese is really missed. And this recipe here, I really like it because it's very high in fiber, also very high in protein proportionally, and it's super cheap with practical ingredients. You probably have all of them at home. Very cheap, very easy to make. You're going to love it. Stick around until the end because you won't want to miss it. If you love recipes that are easy, quick, and healthy, you're going to love this channel. So go ahead and subscribe. Remember to turn on the notification bell to get updates. I have new videos every day. You're going to love them. Let's get started with our recipe. Remember, the ingredients, quantities, and nutritional information are always listed below, in the description and in the first pinned comment. And remember, this recipe isn't necessarily just for vegans or for those who are allergic or intolerant to milk. If you want a healthier diet, you can add this to your routine as well. So look, the first thing I have here is water. And in this water here, I'm going to soak the rolled oats, which is the first and main ingredient of our vegan cheese. When we soak the oats like this, they get a softer texture, a creamier texture, I would say, which will make things easier. So we're going to leave it here. And yes, it's a lot of water. That's right, it's proportional. We'll wait about 5 to 10 minutes for it to get really soaked, and I'll be right back. Remember that oats are a carbohydrate, and they're a carb with a great glycemic index. They have a lower glycemic index because they actually contain protein naturally present and a lot of fiber. In addition to naturally containing beta-glucan, which helps control cholesterol levels. We know that there are many industrialized vegan cheeses that are fattier, not so balanced. So this recipe here is amazing. You're going to love it. It's very healthy. Wait for the oats to hydrate. I'll be right back. So look, a few minutes have passed and I'm going to show you how the oats look so you can get the same consistency at home. Look, see, it's well hydrated. It turned out creamy, but we didn't cook it. We just let it hydrate. So this hydrated oats here, we're going to blend it now. I'll use the blender to make sure it's really well blended. I want it to be well processed. So along with these oats here, I'm going to add a little more water to make sure everything gets well blended and also to provide the amount of liquid we need for the recipe. So here I'm going to add a bit of water, and for now that's it. We're going to blend it well until it's really smooth as much as possible. So you blend it at home with whatever blender you have until it's very smooth. So let's blend it, and then we'll move on to the second part of the recipe. Let's blend it here. All right, so I blended it here, and now I'm going to pour this mixture into this pot, but I'm going to strain it so there aren't any chunks. So we separate a bit of the residue from the oats that we blended here. Let me turn this over here. There won't be much residue left here because I blended it a lot. And at home you should blend it thoroughly too, so there's as little residue as possible, as little waste as possible. Look, we're pouring it in here. And then I'm going to add other ingredients before taking this to the stove. I don't have the stove here because I had the blender here taking up space. So I'm going to mix everything and then I'll get the stove so we can take this over to cook. But look, there's very little residue left. See, that's exactly how it should be. So now I'm going to add the cornstarch, which will help it reach the right consistency. Let me grab my spatula here to scoop it out. The cornstarch is really necessary for the recipe, so you can achieve that cheese-like consistency, which needs to be a bit firmer. And the amount isn't very much either, so it's incredibly easy to add. So I'm going to mix it with a whisk to make certain it gets really smooth and perfectly blended. And it's also important to do this step off the heat, because if we add this to a hot liquid, it'll get all lumpy and won't work out. So let's mix the cornstarch in well here first. I'm also going to add a bit of salt and a bit of paprika here to give it the look of a darker cheese, like cheddar. But this is optional. If you don't want to add paprika, you can leave it out entirely or use another seasoning you like. For example, oregano, rosemary. Tell me what you would add to your cheese. Now, I'm going to add the olive oil, which is the fat option for our cheese, because cheese really needs a source of fat, even if it's a vegan cheese. So, we need to mix it very well here. And now, as you can see, it's already completely dissolved. There are absolutely no more lumps of starch remaining here. I'm going to add the lemon juice last. And now I'm going to get the stove so we can reach the right consistency. So, I'll grab the stove and be right back. Hold on. I've got my stove here now, so I'm going to turn on the heat so we can reach the right consistency together. The heat doesn't need to be very high. At first, I'm going to use a whisk, but soon I'll switch to a spatula as it thickens. So we keep stirring to form this denser cream. Keep stirring gradually until it reaches the right consistency. And when it reaches the right consistency, I'll come back here to show you how it turned out before putting it in the mold. I'll be right back. Look, our vegan cheese mixture has reached the right consistency. See, this is the texture we're looking for. When you spread it like this and it takes a while to come back together, that's when you know it's a thicker cream. So now I'm going to turn off the heat, take it off the stove, grab my container so we can mold it, and I'll give you some tips. Just a moment. Here's my tip. I took my plastic container and greased it with a little olive oil to make sure it will come out easily later. So that's an important detail. I'm going to put it in here. Of course, if you want to season this cheese, you can. You can add garlic powder or grated or minced garlic. You can add oregano or whatever you like. Let me gently tap it right here so that it can properly settle. Let me carefully tap it right here. Just take a look. This process is to get rid of those air pockets that sometimes tend to form right here. So we do it like this, and I'm going to add the rest here, then I'll put it in my fridge and wait for it to set. It'll be a big cheese. And look, it was exactly the right amount. So after a few hours, I'll come back here and show you how it turned out. I'll take it out of the mold and we'll try it. So it's important to smooth it out now because this is the moment. Afterwards, it will set. So I'll fix it here, take it to the fridge, and I'll be back in a bit. Hold on. Look, my cheese is ready. Now I'm going to cut a piece so you can see. It stayed in the fridge overnight, just like I said. I'm going to cut a piece now so you can see what its texture is like. Make it at home. You'll love it. And look, it really looks like cheese. I'm going to cut another piece here so you can see. I don't want to cut it too thin so it looks like a real piece of cheese, just like we would actually eat. Just look at this. Imagine this in a salad, in a sandwich. How wonderful. It's a great alternative. So tell me, what kind of seasoning are you going to put on this delicious recipe? Oregano, chopped garlic, basil, sun-dried tomatoes? What do you like most and are going to add? I used paprika. I'd love to see your idea. If you like vegan cheese, check out my vegan mozzarella recipe. You're going to love it. And take a look at my vegan recipes playlist. There's one for sweet recipes and one for savory recipes. You're going to love them. Remember to like the video, it helps me out, and share it with anyone who might enjoy it, needs it, or has allergies. Let's work together to grow this chain of kindness. That's what I want for the channel. Let's taste it. This paprika flavor, I think it really reminds me of cheddar. So for me, it turned out amazing. Even as a snack, a cheese to eat with some almonds or some walnuts, this one is going to be wonderful. Make it and you're going to love it. Bye.